What is going on? So, I'm back after a little bit of a break. I guess a little housekeeping. I'll let you know what's been going on. Uh, Last year, I was supposed to move to the Philippines. Came out in February. Uh, my fiance got a house, and I went back to the States to sell my house and uh, pack up a little bit of stuff, get rid of everything else, and move here. I flew back March 2nd, and as we all know, the world went into lockdown in March. Mid-March, I think it was the 17th, the Philippines put their travel ban in, and so I ended up, I sold my house to a good friend of mine, and she let me stay there for a while. Till November. I was finally able to get here, but in the meantime, I was sleeping on an air mattress with 8 changes of clothes and just my laptop, and really wasn't able to do anything as far as making videos. My microphone, all my stuff, everything was here. So that's where I've been. Now that I'm here, I'm still working, trying to get my room set up. My studio kind of room. Still working on that, so I am currently in the living room. Yeah, so pardon any noises. My wife did get married, and stepson, they're upstairs, so if you hear any doors closing and stuff. So, now that that's out of the way, I am going to try to not get myself alcohol poisoning. I've got a couple big bottles of San Miguel Pilsen, and we are going to watch I don't know if you call it a movie, it's only an hour long, it's probably more along like a documentary type of thing, but because it's full of bullshit, I don't even want to call it that. So, yeah, so Eric DeBay put this thing out yesterday, and I figured, hell, for my welcome back, I'll jump in and check this thing out live and yeah, see how stupid he is. So let's get to it, I guess. I need a drink already.
So there it is.
Yep,
the Earth
there it is.
from outer space. Do you believe this is a real, live recording?
Do you believe?
How about now? Does this make it more believable? Ask yourself.
Is this real? Do you believe? Is this real?
Let's try this another way.
Breaking news. NASA finally did it. They finally did it. They're finally live streaming the Earth spinning from outer space. The world is celebrating. This one will go down in
History.
Convinced? Well, if you didn't fall for that, then why would you fall for this? Maybe you just never
Paid attention.
When you do pay attention, you start to notice things.
Like things go into space and the Earth is a globe. I mean, there's pictures of it, obviously. Live video, the ISS, you know, that kind of thing.
Are you paying attention?
Paying attention.
Yeah. I don't think these idiots are though. Oh, yeah, this genius. Forgot he's in it too. Yeah, I think I might have done a video from him, or I was going to, or something. I don't know, but this guy's a moron. That Dave Murphy guy, he drinks pee. Eddie Bravo. So apparently this guy's an authority on I don't know what, or he just has stupid ideas. But somebody, he's an MMA fighter. Somebody who makes a career out of getting concussions probably should stay away from I don't know, intellectual things. That, I mean, I'd love to know how many concussions this guy's had. You know he's got brain damage. But, well, I guess all these guys have brain damage. So let's keep going. Yep. And Eric Dubay. Obviously, the guy's got a voice like a human quaalude. I'm either, if he's going to talk this whole time, I'm either going to fall asleep or get real drunk.
Did you know that starting at the end of 2015 through 2017, Flat Earth was one of the top search terms in the USA, let alone the world?
Well, I mean, everybody does need a good source of comedy. What better way to get it than laughing at idiots who think the earth is flat?
While most of you were falling for the political charades, the rest of us were trying to discover the true nature about our world.
My name is ODD TV. I'm a local rapper here in Denver, Colorado.
I just want you to know the truth, so please don't shoot the messenger. But this is how it is when you live.
I've been rapping for 20 years. Just like anyone else, when you're a kid and you're really into music, you're into making music, every kid looks in that mirror and fantasizes about being famous.
I'm sure he's growing in notoriety. He's climbing those charts.
And because I like to make my own music, I just decided, screw it. I'm going to make a YouTube channel and start talking in videos.
There has never been one experiment that proves that the Earth is in motion.
Oh, really? Okay. Vocals pendulum. Well, thanks, Bob. Bob Nodell did it with his $20,000 gyroscope. Yeah, we'll just ignore that for now.
When you try to find the curvature of the Earth, it's nowhere to be found. Unless you're looking at...
Wait. I gotta try to go back. Shit. Oh, too far. Damn, this is touchy. Sorry. Oh. I don't want to screw things up for you. We'll just, I guess, just go here. If you look at that video that he showed, the first part of it, it actually showed the Earth being concave. So that's not flat either. But yeah, that's obviously the fisheye lens. If that's the dog cam footage, I want to say, from Felix Baumgartner's Jump. If you watch the video, you see curvature, then it flattens out, then it goes concave. Goes convex, flat, concave. Flat earthers love to try to use clips from that, but everything about it's fluff. Sorry to go back too far and listen to this idiot longer. Yeah, I'm still learning OBS.
There has never been one experiment that proves that the Earth is in motion. When you try to find the curvature of the Earth, it's nowhere to be found.
And I need a drink. See,
Unless
right
you're
there.
looking at footage from GoPro cameras that have fisheye lenses, Hollywood movies, or NASA propaganda.
Started making the videos in 2014, early 2015. Started getting noticed. You're living in a world where there's fake people faking events on TV in order to move agendas forward. With the Earth being flat, I couldn't just sit around
Concave,
and do
look,
nothing.
right there.
There was videos everywhere. There was videos of people doing science, putting balloons up with a camera that doesn't have a fisheye lens on it, like a GoPro lens, a wide angle lens. And they were using these cameras that didn't have those. The horizon rose to eye level, which would be impossible on a ball that would be falling away from you as you rose up.
It doesn't rise to eye level. So our eyes aren't the best measuring tools for things. So if you just look at stuff that doesn't, it's not always 100% accurate. So MC Toon did an experiment where he got an app on his phone and plane, and he leveled it out so it showed a true eye level, and the horizon was below that. I don't know how much they expect things to drop off at these low-ish altitudes, and also the high up stuff that they do, the flat earthers keep putting out are from balloons. Well, balloons move, so that camera's doing this, and you can't get anything accurate, but they'll take a couple seconds or a freeze frame and say, see, dishonesty at its finest.
There's people putting out top 10 NASA hoax videos.
That's just so incredibly disrespectful. Those people did die. I remember watching the Challenger explode live on TV when I was a kid. If any of you older folks remember, back in the 80s, early 80s, they used to televise the shuttle launches live, and yeah, I remember watching the Challenger explode. Those people died, and for anybody to go and say it was all a hoax and that these people lived is just abhorrent. I'll just leave it at that.
Debunking the moon landing, picking apart NASA just left and right. It was awesome. Awesome time for YouTube.
And every time they try to pick apart NASA videos, they always try to cherry pick weird little things, and it's always an argument from people. They have no idea what they're talking about. They just say, "Oh, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right." They talk about things like shadows. Well, they don't understand where the light source is, where the sun is, or if the sun is reflecting off of the Earth back to the moon, how that's going to mess with the shadows. It shouldn't be like that. Well, how do you know? They don't know what they're talking about, and because they don't understand things, they say that it's fake.
Between 2015 and 17.
Even Google mentioned it during their commercial. Do you remember this? Why would Google be promoting this?
As a joke?
As a joke? No.
Maybe.
We know why.
Let me guess. Because the secret wall of people who want everybody to think the Earth is a globe are putting it out there that it's actually flat to fuck with us. Because reasons, you would think if they're trying to fool everybody, they wouldn't tell everybody. I don't remember the ad. I don't know the ad, so I can't really comment on that one. I'm sure that was cherry picked, like pretty much everything else that Eric does. But yeah.
They were panicking. Panicking because the platform they purchased 10 years ago was collapsing with truth. The powers that be would not allow that.
Have you ever noticed everybody who talks about truthers or I have the truth, they're always full of shit?
We want to provide users with authoritative, trustworthy
Ms. Downs,
information.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I only have a minute and a half, and I don't really need to hear what you're trying to provide. I want to know how you're dealing with all these conspiracy theorists on your platform.
So the first way is by demoting low-quality content and promoting more authoritative content, and the second is by providing more transparency for users. So we're introducing boxes that provide factual information at the top of results that have shown themselves to turn up a lot of information that is counterfactual, such as searching for the Earth is flat on YouTube, where you see a lot of
Your response is to put a box saying, nope, the Earth is not flat.
Correct.
Okay.
So instead of deleting all of the millions of videos we have made, they simply decided to bring in their puppets to reiterate the agenda at stake.
We are already sufficiently motivated to invest the necessary resources and people in addressing this threat.
So the reason that YouTube started putting those things out there was it started during this whole COVID thing. And they did it because people were putting videos out, COVID hoax, this, and, it's not real, it's fake, or they have some miracle cure that really doesn't do shit. And it's, excuse me, it's potentially harmful to others. So YouTube took the responsible stance and said, you know what? We're not going to censor you. We're going to let you keep spouting your bullshit, but we are going to put a little thing at the bottom that says what you're saying is full of shit, and here is a link to an authority who can demonstrate that what you're saying is a bunch of crap, and people should not take that to heart, and possibly not.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
The Earth being flat is getting out of control. Can you please help?
When you stand on the shoulders of those who came before, you might just see far enough to realize the Earth isn't flat.
1 + 1 is?
2.
What color is the sky?
Blue.
And the Earth is?
Round. Second is here.
This float celebrates flat Earth theory that is spreading ironically around the
world and its possible roundness.
Yeah, spinning.
Now they are talking about it.
They're talking about it and mocking it because it's stupid, and flat earthers are just morons.
Want you to search for it, because they already changed their algorithm to be set up in their favor.
What is this trash?
None of this tells you our side of the story. These are all videos they put together, so you can watch and learn nothing.
Funny, when I put flat earth in, I get Eric Bay's videos, Ruby E's videos, I get all sorts of flat earther videos. I really don't have much of a problem finding it. And with the YouTube algorithm, yeah, it gets mixed in there with videos from, there's one that's popping up with the big Think logo. Can't really make it out on the screen what the video title is, but it mixes in there with debunking stuff and everything else. Their algorithm, it goes by keywords and views and all that shit. So you're not being censored. It's just they're putting content that debunks everything you say along with the nonsense that you say.
Nothing that any of us would show you. Like here, have you ever seen a time lapse of the sun? Does it?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of time lapses of the sun. They're actually pretty cool, a lot of them.
Look like the Earth is rotating backwards and the sun is still? Or does it look like our sun is simply moving across our sky, traveling away from your perspective?
It looks like the sun rises from below the horizon, across the sky, and then sets below the horizon. Which, if I may add, would be impossible on a flat Earth, because if it's a snow globe and the sun is doing this shit, it gets smaller, 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 and never really disappear and come back around. It would shrink, but that's not what we see. If you put a solar filter on the camera and film the sun, it never changes its angular size. It always stays the exact same size throughout the day as it sets, and I mean, that's sunsets debunk the flat Earth.
Again, but with some inversion. You can clearly see the sun, not only decreasing its size, but heading towards its next destination with a slight turn before it disappears from your line of sight.
It goes up, arcs over, goes down below the horizon, the curve of the Earth. It's the sun.
While Google would make sure when you type in flat Earth that nothing like this would ever pop up, many agree the science regarding our sun is far from settled.
We're told that the sun is a massive ball of burning gas 93 million miles away.
Hey, the piss drinker. The burning gas thing is kind of a misnomer. It's nuclear fusion taking place. Excuse me. They melted my brain already. I think I smell toast. It's a nuclear reaction taking place. The sun is not on fire. It's not a fireball. It's the result of it's not on fire.
But if that were true, then all the light that arrives here would be parallel because it's so far away. And it has to be parallel because one of the most often cited supposed globe proofs is Eratosthenes' experiment between Alexandria and Syene.
So, your light bulb in your house. You have your light bulb. Does the light come out like this, or does it scatter all around? The light comes out at an angle. It comes away from the source. It doesn't come straight unless it's a fucking laser.
By which he calculated the size of the Earth. For that calculation to be accurate, the light must come down parallel. The only problem is that that's not what we see. If you go out on a sunny day with broken cloud, what you'll see is that light comes down at angles.
Okay, so by this guy's logic, the piss drinker, when I'm diving, because as you can see, the regulator is right behind me. When I'm diving and underwater, I see the exact same thing from the surface. So by this guy's logic, the sun is just above the surface of the water because moisture changes the direction of light. It bends light. The corpuscular rays thing, it's, again, it's, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't understand things, so therefore Earth is flat and the sun is close.
Converging angles. And that means that we can follow those light rays back to the source and triangulate the sun's height above the Earth, proving that the sun isn't millions of miles away. But we can also perform physical experiments that prove that these crepuscular rays, as they're called, can only be recreated with a light source that is small and close.
It doesn't take a genius to understand that the further the light source goes up, the more the sun rays would spread out and become parallel. The reason you'd even think that the sun...
If the Earth was flat, wouldn't it be sunny all the time? I mean, have they ever even thought about it?
Well, if you'd let me finish, The reason you'd even think the sun would be visible from anywhere on Earth is because of the images they have shown you. No one promoting this stands for truth. You can keep believing in your fantasy gas ball 93 million miles away.
You can keep believing in your fantasy gas ball.
While we keep experimenting to try and figure out what the sun actually is.
And doing really shit experiments as well. And cherry picking your results. I mean, just look at Bob and Jaron. Shit, Jaronism even, they got him on tape. Monkeying with the results of the experiment. Oh, you can't see light? Hold it up higher. Really?
And how close it could be. With a local hotspot, it should be easy to comprehend that the sun is small and close to you.
To put that in perspective, imagine a table 2 meters wide in a completely dark room. And you're holding a small but very bright light bulb, 3.4 millimeters across. And you were holding it about 31 centimeters above the table. What you'd see is a circular pool of light.
Yeah, you would see a circular pool of light, but yet if you look at how day is on the flat Earth quote-unquote map, which, oh, by the way, you don't even have an accurate map or model, it's like a weird straight line right across the top. One half is day and one half is night. That can't happen. That doesn't. That's not possible. It only works on a globe when half of the Earth is on the opposite side from the sun. The Earth is blocking itself. The Earth is blocking the sunlight. It's not. Just simple things. These people. I mean, even this little demonstration he has, it couldn't be a circle. Half of it would have to be cut off. The light would just have to stop halfway.
Directly on the table, beneath the light bulb. But on the other side of the table, it would be in darkness. Now, it seems to our mind that if you were on the other side of the table, you would see the light because it's, above the table. But that's not true, because on that part of the table, it's in darkness, meaning that the light isn't physically reaching that part of the tabletop.
But with a small local sun, you would still be able to see it. On a flat Earth, you should be able to see a lot further than we actually do. I mean, granted, weather and things like that are going to get in the way, but you'd still be able to see some sort of light off in the distance. And I'm not talking about the sun looking like a star. It would be brighter.
Your senses are correct.
We're also told that the sun sets because as the Earth rotates us away from the sun, it's actually obscured by the physical curvature of the Earth.
Yeah, that's what causes sunsets. That's why they look the way they do.
That's not what we see.
What we see is a local sun that is taking its local light with it. What happened to the horizon glowing across half of the world? Most sunsets are already fading through pollution, dander, chemtrails, and fog. Plus,
Dander? Chemtrails? For fuck's sake.
refraction will always make the sun seem like it's going down, as well as your perspective.
It would appear
This fucktard doesn't even know what perspective or refraction is. I mean, these guys keep touting that whole black swan photo when the crane and back was all bent and wobbly and all fucked up. You can obviously tell that it's a mirage. The light is, or the moisture is messing with the light.
here to sink down in your field of view. That's perspective. The further away you get from it, the lower it will appear. It doesn't physically change its height, it just appears that way to your eyes, until eventually it will disappear behind the horizon formed by your eye's vanishing point. Your eye has an angular resolution of 0.2 degrees. And anything at that height will disappear beyond the limit of your sight. Many times we can see time-lapse footage of the sun that shows it getting smaller as it moves away from us.
Put a solar filter on there. The sun stays the same size. When it's closer, it's going to appear brighter to the naked eye or the naked lens. It's just how optics work. As it gets further away, you get more shit in the atmosphere, more moisture, more pollution. I guess why not just say dander and chemtrails too? Not really. So you're gonna have stuff blocking that glare that we get.
Now, that's not always the case, since...
Oh look, it just set below the horizon. Weird.
The sun is travelling around the North Pole. The closer you are to the north, the less you'll see the size change. But from locations beyond the equator, you'll absolutely see the sun's size change. And that could never ever happen if the sun was 93 million miles away.
No, you don't. I'm actually just right around 700 miles north of the equator, and the sun stays the same size. It doesn't shrink away as the sun goes down. This freeze frame, they just drew two arbitrary lines like, oh, this is where the sun should be. This is the bright spot. Put a solar filter on the camera and do this. I guarantee you the sun will not change size.
You wouldn't see the sun change at all.
Our eyes cannot see farther than what they were designed to see, but that is no reason to keep them closed.
There's also an effect that occurs under certain conditions called atmospheric lensing, where the sheer amount of atmosphere, as well as the rain between you and the sun,
just showed crepuscular rays. That pencil, that is crepuscular rays. The light comes in, it's the moisture, and bends.
acts like a lens and a prism, magnifying it greatly, which leads to another observational proof that the sun setting is an optical effect. At such times, when the sun is setting over the sea, and it seems as though it's half hidden by the horizon, then you can zoom in with a high-powered zoom camera and see that it's actually still above the horizon. It's just an optical illusion.
Because the sun is low enough, like in a video like that, the sun is low enough where the light or the moisture from the water is interfering with how our eyes and that camera perceive the light. Now, zoom in. If you noticed when you zoomed in, that horizon stayed. Like if you look at the waves are in the same spot. It's not. You don't go past those waves. You're just looking at them.
Pay attention to the sun rays here. This alone proves our local sun, and so do these shadows. So what about the moon?
How do those shadows prove a local sun? But no explanation. Just make the assertion, move on. No, that's not how this works. You want to make it plain, especially something like that. Maybe you should at least attempt to explain it.
We all witness the moon only illuminating the local clouds around it. That is because it is also a local light. But
oh, and as a side note, I left my tablet at my brother-in-law's house. I gotta get that back, but once I do, I'm trip to the other side of the island, and I'm going to be filming a sunset. I've got a P900, which flat earthers love, so I bought one. Bought one of those, and I've got my drone. I'm going to film the sunset. I'm going to zoom in with the P900 when the sun goes below the curvature of the earth, below the horizon. Then I'm going to send the drone up, and we're going to watch a second sunset together.
One with opposite effects from the sun. As we can all agree, shade from the sun is cooler than direct sunlight. But did you know the moon's shade is actually warmer than direct moonlight? The moon produces cold light, something the
Cold light is not a thing. It's not a thing. Try reproduce that anyway. These guys love to say, oh, it's a reproducible experience. Got to be able to reproduce it. Reproduce cold light.
science priests must have forgotten to teach us all about in school. Not only that, but at times we can see stars through the moon, proving it is not some solid rock 238,900 miles away.
You can't see stars through the moon. We've already talked about how light kind of distorts things. The moon might not be in that exact spot. When we see it, when it meets our eyes, it could be like the pencil in the water, how it kind of bends. That's why you might be able to see a little bit of something behind it, but it's not physically behind the moon. And even if the moon was local, does that mean close? Does that mean the stars are in front of the moon? And why do weather balloons and airplanes and things like that not take any of that into account? I mean, just saying. The SR-71 flew at 80,000 feet. It didn't have to take in the moon, stars, or the sun, or anything like that. Oh shit, coming up on the sun, we gotta turn. No.
In the 60s, true science regarding the moon was the shadow band topic of its era.
I consider myself to be an ordinary, humble person who wants to serve mankind with what man has striven for from the beginning of consciousness, with truth and understanding of the world.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma, cosmic plasma. Gravitational theories are out, and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved. This fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
Okay. I didn't want to get too far and get too many questions. One, who the fuck is this guy? Two, if the moon puts off its own light, how are there moon phases? How does that work? Three, they showed up close photo and video of the moon. You can see craters on the moon. Why are there shadows in those craters? Also, when you zoom in on the moon and look at it closely, you can see that the moon is a sphere. Why would the moon be a sphere, but not the Earth?
Be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories.
The result will be profound and decisive, because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it.
But the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
If the moon is a plasma, how are there craters? How are there craters, and how is it solid rock? When I first got my P900, I went out back. It was a full moon. Put it on tripod, zoomed in on the moon. You can get really, really good detail with that camera looking at the moon. It looks like a big rock to me. It does not look like plasma. Or sort of like bulb. This shit is so easy to disprove. You just have to look up.
Well, that will never happen.
People actually believe they walked on the moon.
Because we did. I mean, this was at the height of the Cold War. If the Russians could find any reason that we had not landed on the moon, would they have not jumped all over it and done everything in their power to discredit the U.S.?
Talked with Nixon, played golf, drove a car, and planted a flag.
Yeah, they did all sorts of things on the moon. Why is that so hard to believe? I mean, shit, they flew a drone on Mars just the other day. Yesterday they did it for a second time.
If you really believe that Neil Armstrong took the first step, then why do you give any credit to the cameraman already there waiting for him?
Because the person getting off the lander was not Neil Armstrong. He was the one taking the video.
These guys were all US military men coerced into acting. They wanted the money and power that came with the deal, of course. The problem was, they were terrible actors. They couldn't even pretend to be excited, knowing they were lying to the world.
Okay, this video, this is only just a short clip of it. The rest of the video, these guys are smiling, they're laughing, they're joking. I mean, they're getting excited about this. I doubt any flat earthers have actually gone back and watched the entire interview. They just see this and go, oh, this guy's right. Well, you know what? He cherry-picked this because he's purposely deceitful and a liar.
But the show had to go on. Michael Collins and Neil Armstrong rarely spoke in public about it, but there was one man not shy about lying to your face. The spokesperson for the Apollo deception.
It's my pleasure to present Colonel Edwin Aldrin.
No handshake, hug, smile. Their facial expressions are similar to those experiencing constipation, not celebrating an accomplishment.
Distinguished.
Okay, this is a serious setting. You don't hug and all that in a setting like this. Not to mention, this was done after they had gone there and been back for a while. They're trying to be professionals. What does Eric and his ilk want? Do they want them like jumping up and down, hugging each other, giving each other kisses? If they acted all too excited, Eric and his ilk would be saying they're clowns and mocking them for that. They remain professional setting, and he's got a criticism on that as well. Not to mention, these people are astronauts or military people. They might just not be used to speaking in public. He might be fairly nervous. I've been to legislative body hearings. I've had to get up there, and even though once you leave the room, you're in good mood. Before you get there, you're in a good mood, you're smiling, you're laughing, you walk out of the room, you're smiling, you're laughing, you're in a good mood. While you're in there, it's a bit overwhelming. And for somebody who this isn't his field, like, I mean, the guy was a pilot, he was an astronaut, not a senator or a legislator.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a great sense of pride as an American and with humility as a human being that I say to you today what no men have been privileged to say before. We walked on the moon.
I mean, they couldn't pay them enough to look up and smile? Society has always debated these planned Apollo events since.
So because these people aren't acting the way that Eric Dubay wants them to, they're lying. That's his reasoning. That is the reasoning behind this. They don't look like I think they should look, so it's all bullshit. Gotcha.
Day one, never imagining then that almost 50 years later, they haven't had the balls to fake another.
Why? One, it's incredibly dangerous to go. I mean, how many people died trying to get there? They almost, look at the story of the Apollo 13 mission. You had people almost die again. It's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly expensive. After we went there a few times, NASA got their funding cut. Where's the money is not there. It's dangerous. The money, not to mention, what more are we going to get out? I mean, you have to justify the danger, cost, and everything that goes along with it, with the benefit. What do we get? Do we spend a lot of money on something that we might get a little bit of information from, or do we branch off to the next thing like Mars, where we are learning, doing tons of incredible shit? Hell, they just the Perseverance rover just turned CO2 into oxygen yesterday. So, I mean,
tattooer, I talk to hundreds of people a month, and people are actually really starting to wake up with everything that's going on right now. I mean, people are sick of the lies. This is the biggest deception ever. The globe, the spinning ball globe, is the biggest deception. If NASA was legit, literally all they would have to do is one thing. Take one of their satellites.
Okay, I know where he's going with this because I've heard this stupid argument countless times. I gotta jump in first before I let you hear what I know he's gonna say. Why? Why lie about the shape of the Earth? What would be the point? And also, I mean, if you're gonna do that, then it's not NASA that's in on it. It's perpetrating this. It's not governments. It's every single sailor, airline pilot. Seriously? I mean, are all of these people in on it? But nobody said anything. No whistleblowers. Nothing. Everybody actually stays quiet. Weird.
Zoom in on someone in Australia, upside down, driving a car.
Why? So, some mental midget degenerate can go, oh, it's fake, like you do with everything. But, first off, there are satellites in the southern hemisphere, but they're oriented, so north is north and south is south. Look at the Himalaya 8. And everybody likes to scream CGI. Does that thing put out a CGI image every 10 minutes? I mean, were they able to track the Australian wildfires with this thing just by faking it? Give me a fucking break. Not to mention, why would NASA turn some high-powered telescope around to take a picture of what, and orient it in a way to show what you want to see, just because less than 1% of the population is dumb enough to think the Earth is flat? Not to mention there's tons of spy satellites and Well, shit, the Google Earth satellites, all that shit's already up there taking those pictures.
Or in the ocean, swimming upside down. That's all they would have to do. Just zoom in. But they won't do it.
Okay, so I'm a bit of a gamer, and I just bear with me. If you've ever played No Man's Sky, there's parts where you're zipping around in the solar system. When you are coming up on a planet, you don't know north from south, east from west. You roll your spaceship, and the whole orientation of the planet changes. You could start coming in, go, okay, that's north, that's south, flip your ship over, and now it looks like south is north and north is south. There is no up, down, upside down in space. That's not how it works.
But they'll never do it. We have the footage of them in the space capsule.
This is another thing. Okay, so this guy's showing footage from the Apollo missions. They didn't have Photoshop. CGI was not a thing. This video and the pictures that they like to show from that were taken on actual film. They were not digital cameras. It was actual film. How do you fake that?
Still in Earth orbit, covering up a small section of the window so you can see through the circle and making that look like that was the Earth. And this is a joke. I mean, how do people think this is real? I think it's hilarious that...
How do people think it's a joke? Oh, they're too fucking stupid, and it's incredulity and assumptions and assertions.
NASA will straight up tell you to destroy the technology to go to the moon.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
The stuff that they used to go to the moon was analog. It was very, very, very primitive. I want to say primitive. We have advanced from that. Now, why, and because of radiation and things like that, it messes with digital stuff, our current technological state. Why would we rebuild stuff from 60 years ago? Yes, 60 years ago. To go back to gain what? What would we gain from going back? I mean, we're at Mars. Why keep going to the moon?
But they destroyed the technology and they can't go back. It's ridiculous. There's an interview with Buzz Aldrin, actually, where he's being interviewed by a little girl. Her question was,
why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
After 50 years of lying to humanity and perpetrating this giant fraud, he's sick of the lie, and his conscience, he had a moment of humility, and his conscience wouldn't let him lie to this little 8-year-old girl.
I'd love to know what else he said. And I'm also wondering if there was any sarcasm in there. Because I'll give him credit. That question did not sound like an 8-year-old's question. That sounded like something mom or dad told him to ask. Mom or dad is probably a dumbass flat earther. So for all we know, he might have been trolling.
Silly globe model with water magically attached to it, spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, shooting around the.
No. We're not spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're spinning at one revolution a day. One revolution every 24 hours. Look at the hour hand on your clock. The Earth is spinning twice that slow. That clock goes around. That hour hand will go around the clock twice in the time it takes the Earth to spin once.
Sun at 66,000 miles an hour and rocketing through the universe at 500,000 miles an hour is just the goofiest, silly thing that I've ever heard in my life.
The sun is not flying through the universe. The Earth and all the other planets are orbiting the sun, and they are spinning at whatever particular planet spins at, whatever that degree per hour or rotation per day is. The sun is part of the Milky Way galaxy. All of that is spinning together around the massive supermassive black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy, which is flying. They try to break things down into the most simple things and leave out the rest. They just ignore everything else that's going on and why it to make it sound ridiculous, either because they're complete fucking morons or they're completely dishonest. I'll let you take it.
I want you to think you're a monkey man, a purposeless accident created by nothing.
We are.
That exploded from a big bang that was created not by scientists, by a priest, mind you, while they steal $58 million a day in taxpayers' money.
The fact that the priest figured out the Big Bang is relevant now. And he talks about NASA stealing the money. NASA is taxpayer funded. If they didn't send that money to NASA, you really think they would just send it elsewhere? Send it to the military or schools? Obviously, schools are idiots who think the Earth is flat. But maybe they should put one
to show you cartoons, CGI. They just have to show you enough of.
Again with the CGI, I knew it was going to be mentioned at some point. The stuff from the Apollo, the Gemini, the Mercury missions, there was no CGI. CGI did not exist back then. The very first photo of it actually got like good curvature of the Earth was from a rocket from, let's say, the late 40s. It's shitty black and white video, and it's only a few seconds long. There was no CGI back then. It just wasn't a thing. So, explain.
Hollywood and magic tricks and for you to believe the nonsense. It shocks me how many people actually believe they're floating above our heads.
It shocks me how many people think the Earth is flat and that all this would be faked for what reason? Why? Why?
All filmed here on Earth. Outer space is a fantasy. The Earth is a stationary plane. Google bubbles in space. You can literally see bubbles coming up from these astronauts' helmets. It's ridiculous. When I saw it, I was like, this is a joke.
So many times during
that couldn't have been a particle or bubble, because why?
Spacewalks outside the International Space Station. We can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Couldn't that be debris from whatever they were messing with? Dust particles? But because you want to say that it's flat, it has to be air bubbles.
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles? So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, often on the outside of the space station, you'll liberate little pieces of, it's a really harsh environment out there, and the outside of the space station gets beat up pretty good. And sometimes, you'll see just little flecks of paint or something that you might have disrupted floating away from the suit. And, that's generally what that is.
But because the FLIRF wants to ignore that space is real, it must be air bubbles. It must. I dive, as you can see. I know what air bubbles look like. Those are not air bubbles. The video that they showed where they're training in the pool, those are air bubbles.
I've never seen any kind of air bubble anywhere.
Yeah. Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out there?
That is the reaction he should get. He should be laughed at, just like everybody else who holds his claim. You should be fucking laughed at because you're an idiot.
All right, well, I just encourage everyone to look up Bubbles in Space, hashtag Bubbles in Space. Thank you very much. How's Bubbles in Space doing? How's what? Bubbles in Space.
Bubbles in space?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
No? You Mr. Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? You don't remember the question from Tampa about the bubbles in space coming up from the helmets? Yeah, you guys are in an underwater pool, remember? We know. Just remember. What's up?
Keep it classy. Let's follow a guy around, harass him. He's done how many public speaking events, taken how many questions? You expect him to remember that one? By some fucking nobody dipshit? Yeah, okay. And why would you be following this guy around harassing him anyway? Just fucking leave him alone.
Hi, man. Can you sideline the hashtag Bubbles in Space?
Hashtag bubbles in space?
Bubbles in Space, brother. What's your word on that?
What is that?
Yeah, you were asked that 2 times in the past couple months, actually, about bubbles coming out in the spacewalks.
Oh, you're that guy.
I'm not that guy. I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm not gonna write that.
And then,
thank you so much.
There you go.
Astronauts on harnesses as well. Anything to say about that?
Do I have anything to say about it?
Yeah.
I have anything you want me to say about it. What do you want me to say?
Whatever your thoughts are. I just want your honest opinion.
About what?
There's video evidence of guys hanging from harnesses in the International Space Station.
Sir, we need to keep going. There's a very long line. Thank you so much. Can you please step forward? Thank you so much.
How about
please step forward,
selling a book of pictures with taxpayer money? How about that?
Thank you so much.
Taxpayer money?
These were all on taxpayer dime, wasn't it? Not this one, but the picture book.
Come back over here. You know what you can do? You can sell the same pictures yourself because they are public domain. Absolutely.
They should be free to the taxpayers.
They
is
are
what it
free.
is. Why?
He just said they're public domain. That means they're free. You can just download them and do whatever you want with them. There's no copyright, there's no nothing. This guy is so stupid, obviously, because he starts coming back at him right when I paused it, that he doesn't even fucking know that. But yet he thinks he's smart enough to figure out that we live on a fucking space pizza or snow globe or whatever the fuck it is.
Are you selling it for $40?
You can do whatever you want with them.
Well, you're doing it just justice by ripping off the taxpayers.
You know what?
You're doing.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Once people start realizing that we've been lied to on a grand scale, everything from the government to our schools, it all just comes crumbling down. It shocks me how many people actually believe they're floating above our heads.
I've seen.
It shocks me that people can't grasp these simple things.
Seen the International Space Station on YouTube and the astronauts floating about in it while they're orbiting the Earth at 17,000 miles per hour. You can't do that unless you're in outer space.
Practice makes perfect. Give me another
It's
week.
as simple as using a zero-G plane and strapping a harness to their belt. Then, just like Batman movies, they remove the wires using a computer. At times, the manipulation reveals itself. Green screen and blue screen technology cannot always be flawless. How can you...
It couldn't just be something with the camera. You can't do that. Can't have a trail left behind the camera. Something moving quickly past it. Nope. It's got to be a harness or something like that. And technically, the ISS is basically like the Vomit Comet. It is in free fall, but it's going 17,000 miles an hour. So as it falls, it always misses the Earth and it's pulled back around. It's constant. It's in free fall, but it's going so fast that it is in orbit.
You keep denying this trickery. Here we see Europe's space agency at NASA's studios using a blue screen with grids. This technology has been used for decades.
How does he know what that screen's for? Could they not be measuring things with it? I mean, they measure projectiles with grid screens, similar to that. I've seen like high-speed video where they have screens just like that. Sometimes the background is green, sometimes it's blue. I've seen black, but that's irrelevant. They use grid screens to measure things with high-speed video, so they don't know what they're doing with that, and all he's doing is making assumptions based on his predetermined this is all fake mentality. It's incredibly dishonest.
It works best for 3D and live manipulation. It's funny. Once NASA was caught red-handed, they produced a couple of senseless videos 8 months later, trying to pretend like they always use them for science experiments, knowing damn well it was too late. Why do clowns defend them?
There is no chance you could remove the background.
These people lie to your face in the hope that you will not...
Okay, this idiot obviously doesn't know how to green screen works either, because when you chroma key something, I have videos on my channel where I'm talking, I've got my Plague Doctor thing on, talking, but meanwhile, back of me, I have like dive footage or something like that playing. Now, that background has to be a solid, constant color. Those lines would fuck it up beyond belief. Like, it would not work. That whole screen would have to be blue, for one. You put those lines in there, and it just goes to shit.
Do your own research. NASA knows that most are too lazy to dig through its massive rabbit hole. Yet, in the meantime, they just love to rub it in your face.
Okay, we already talked about me making a move to the Philippines and getting rid of stuff. My green screen is currently at my mom's house. I'll be picking that up on one of my trips once I'm allowed to travel back. I have to be here for the next year because of visa issues. Not issues, but I'm on a probationary permanent residency visa. So, once I can go back, I will go back and I will get that. I will put tape on there and I will record a video with a green screen with those lines, and you will see that it does not work. It is impossible.
Wake up, my friends, there's some things that you have to know. Everything you ever thought you knew, it has to go. The world's a stage and they're putting on a magic show. Take a journey with me deep inside the rabbit hole. Wake up, my friends, there's some things that you have to know.
so the camera got weird. The live feed got weird. And? What's your point?
They steal $52 million per day from American taxpayers just to create a fantasy display of men orbiting their spinning pear-shaped space testicle Earth. Their green screens are awful. When they are live and something glitches, their reactions are always priceless. I'm not sure why you globeheads keep defending all of this. Are you waiting on NASA to finally come forward?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dear citizens of America. We here at NASA have been...
I see in the chat my mic is low. Is this any better?
lying to you all since the 60s about our projects, operations, and missions into outer space. We have never been higher than lower Earth orbit.
Oh, I guarantee this guy's never been higher.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
Every image we have shown you is CGI. Our films are mostly done in an underwater buoyancy facility.
CGI done back before there was CGI. Okay.
We have funneled millions of dollars per day to show you cartoons and false illusions, and we are truly very sorry.
Thanks, Deconverted Man, for showing up. You're fucking awesome. I still love your channel. Still watch it. Always done good stuff.
We will repay all taxpayers back the trillions of dollars we have stolen. This will be divided evenly between the citizens of America, as well as rebuilding poverty-stricken towns and cities all across America, as this department has finally come to an end.
Isn't it weird that every space documentary, all the series, I had them all, Joe had them all, we watch them all the time. I try to remember all the about a neutron star and a super hypernova. Me and Joe were deep into space.
Beyond Venus.
I guess we're gonna hear the expertise from a guy who gets punched in the head for a living. This will be good.
93 million miles from the sun is Earth. Its great oceans forming the clouds and air currents which warm and irrigate the planet.
I thought I was better than people because I knew so much about space. And every now and then I'd watch all that and wonder, what? This is all cartoons.
And every now and then I think to myself, it's weird that we're not watching any actual footage of space. It's all CGI.
All DVDs on space are all CGI. There's nothing real. And everyone watches that. They believe it. The narration is all programming. What's above us and what we're on, we're being lied to.
Don't we have Hubble? Why don't you point it at the Earth and get some awesome shots of where we live?
The Hubble. These half-wits always go to the Hubble. Hubble. Granted, the Hubble is an awesome fucking telescope. It is so cool. I followed this thing since I was a little kid. Like, I don't know why I always just had a thing for the Hubble. Fuck me. Right there. I have it tattooed on. They always go for the Hubble. Why won't the Hubble turn around and take pictures of the Earth? Do you have any idea what you would get if the Hubble turned around and took pictures of the Earth? You get a bunch of nothing. You get just a big blob of shit. The Hubble is meant to take pictures of, like, the deep field, the ultra deep field stuff. These people, their infinitesimal fucking minds can't grasp the distances that this thing is meant to take pictures of. If it turned around and took a picture of the Earth, it would just be a blurred out shit. It wouldn't show a damn thing.
All the pictures and images from space are CGI. None of them are real.
prove it. Also, again, for the dozenth time, what about all of those videos, all of those photos that were taken back in the 50s, the 60s, even late 40s, before CGI was ever a thing? Also, I'm going to throw this in there. These mental midgets, they can't differentiate between CGI and a composite photo. So I'm going to go off bit here for a second. If I were to take 12 small pictures of the Chicago skyline, put them all together into one big photo, that's not CGI. That is a composite. That is a real depiction of Chicago. Those are real photographs. Now, these guys like to use the, what's his name? Quote, the guy who did the Blue Marble said it's Photoshopped as it has to be. That's what they do. They take lots of little pictures with some of the closer satellites that can't get a full view of the Earth. They get a bunch of little pictures, put them together to create the whole thing. It's no different than me taking 10 small pictures of the Chicago skyline and putting them all together. It's a real photo. It's a composite, not CGI.
We haven't gone past that. What are you telling me that that's okay? We could just gloss over that? And they admit that they're all CGI, except for one in 1972, which is fake. They have one picture.
Why is it fake? He says it's fake. Oh, it's fake, so it must be. Why? Why would that be fake? Where's your evidence for it being fake?
They say one is real, 1972. All the rest is CGI? Like where?
No, they say they're all real. All pictures, all the actual pictures of Earth, they say are real. They are real photos. They may be composites, and like I just explained with the Chicago analogy, it's a real photo. It's multiple smaller photos put together, but it is a real picture. Yes, are there some CGI? Yeah. You know, they do animations to explain things. It happens. And usually when they do an animation like that, it's very obvious, and nobody is out there saying this is the real photo of the Earth. No. Also, who was it? Simon Dan did a really good thing. They showed all the different pictures of the Earth and how they all looked a little different. He did a really cool thing. He took his globe, took a picture of it, moved back, zoomed in to North America, took another picture. They looked completely different, but he used the same globe.
Where are the pictures of Earth from space? I want to see a picture. I want to see tens of thousands of them.
There are tens of thousands of them. You concussed moron. Definitely you have suffered brain damage from being hit in the head so many fucking times.
I want to see the sun over here and the moon over there. People should have posters and all over the world. People should have these epic pictures of the Earth from space with the moon over here and the sun over there and the planets. There's none.
Literally zero. They do.
I was trying to make it through this with 2 liters of beer. Taking a drink every time somebody said something stupid. I may have run out. And I was already 1 deep. Just because I had to prepare myself for this. Because I knew this was going to hurt. Oh my god. So much stupid. Such a short time. And fuck me, we're only 28 minutes into this, and there's 33 left to go.
Do sometimes exaggerate, like claiming they used a NASA camera 1.6 million miles away to take this alleged video of the dark side of the moon. It doesn't take a genius to see how undeniably computer-generated this image is. And yet, you think we are the moronic ones?
I would rather be thought as a moron for not trusting criminals
Well, we already think you're a moron because you think the Earth is flat.
than a sellout and a traitor for defending them.
The reality
The
is-
things that come out of your mouth, are you saying something that a defense attorney would say, or are you saying something that a prosecuting attorney would say? When it comes to the government, that criminal, that's like John Gotti, I'm saying that a
That's what happens when you get hit in the head too much. Did you just follow that train of thought? That's what happens when you get concussions for a living.
prosecuting attorney would say. Not saying like, we'll prove it. It's a criminal. Without a doubt, whatever's coming from the government, I need the kind of evidence that would shut down a case. If I don't see the evidence, why would I believe it?
What is gravity?
The evidence is there. These people just choose to ignore it.
You have no idea. Okay, next question.
So you're telling me gravity is strong enough to hold oceans onto it, battling inertia from the spin. So gravity.
Yeah, because as mentioned earlier, that spin is really fucking slow.
Gravity's holding oceans, inertia's trying to pull it out and make it fling. Skyscrapers would fling off the earth, but this gravity's holding these. It's so strong, it's holding the ocean, but it can't hold a helium balloon.
Dear boys and girls, this is your public service announcement for this video. Do not get punched in the head for a living. Just don't. This insane rambling is what happens when you get hit in the head too much. The brain is a very delicate, but fairly delicate thing, and concussions are not good. You want to avoid concussions. You don't want to get punched or kicked in the head too much. This is what happens when that happens to you. So, wear a helmet on your bike. If you do enjoy boxing or MMA, wear the helmet. Protect the noodle. Don't be like this guy.
Things that are less dense go up. Things that are more dense go down. Has nothing to do with gravity. Where's gravity at with butterfly? You would think.
Lift. The flapping of the wings creates lift.
That if gravity's so strong it's holding skyscrapers down to it, we would be flat on the ground.
There is gravity all the way out to the moon and beyond.
Long before the theory of gravity was a glimmer in...
I don't know why we showed that clip of Aldrin saying there's gravity to the moon and beyond. Like it's some gotcha moment? I don't know what else to call it. All the planets... The moon is held in the orbit of the Earth by gravity. Alright? Jupiter, which is really big, its gravitational force has an effect on all of the other planets as well. That's what keeps the asteroid belt where it is. That's why Mars is where it is. Jupiter pulls the other way from the sun. It's not... Gravity affects everything. When you start leaving the Earth's field of gravity, you're getting into Mars's. You start leaving Mars's, you start getting into Jupiter's, and so on. Well, actually, never really leave Jupiter's, but you get my point. Fuck.
Newton's imagination. The natural physics of density and buoyancy already perfectly explained why apples fall down. Objects fall or rise based on their relative density to the medium surrounding them.
Then why don't things fall up? Because we can measure this. Don't forget. You can put there's a pressure gradient, for fuck's sake. I'm just going to leave. There's a pressure gradient. There's a goddamn pressure gradient. The air pressure at the bottom of Mount Everest is not the same air pressure as at the top of Mount Everest, which means the air is getting dense, or not denser, less dense as it goes up. It gets denser as it goes down. Why would things not fall up? Why would they fall towards the more dense air? Somebody explain?
Apples fall because they are denser than the air, while helium balloons rise because they are lighter.
No crap.
Helium. I've had too much.
Gravity necessary.
This is why raindrops fall down through the air and air bubbles rise up through water. Everything seeks its relative density and rises or falls until settling accordingly.
So why would it fall? Why would it fall? 10,000 feet up, or 36,000 feet up, is less dense than it is here on Earth. Probably just a few feet above sea level right now. The air here is more dense than Denver, Colorado. Why would they not go towards the less dense area? Why would they go down? Why would it always go towards your feet? Always. Unless you're standing.
This is why a tiny pebble sinks to the bottom of the ocean, but gigantic cruise ships and aircraft carriers stay afloat on the surface, because even though a pebble is so small...
That's buoyancy. Oh, and he's pulling the whole buoyancy thing. How do you calculate buoyancy? Is there a little g in there? Gravity is taken into account when you measure buoyancy.
Its mass, relative to its volume, its density, is more than water, so it sinks. And even though a cruise ship is so large, its mass, relative to its volume, is less than water, so it floats. If Newton's apple had landed in a puddle, he would have seen the apple only fell through the air because it was denser than the air, but then floated on top of the water because it was less dense than water. The natural physics of density and buoyancy was understood and agreed upon for centuries before they changed our textbooks and started NASA.
All our space information is coming from NASA.
All the textbooks were changed because of NASA. No, they weren't. No. I mean, to a point, yes, but because of NASA, so much more was learned, so they added to the textbooks and refined what they already knew and threw out the bad ideas. Just because something was known once doesn't mean that is end all be all. I mean, 2,000 years ago, they didn't understand germ theory, so they update books to include germ theory. And does that mean germ theory is fake? No. We know that germs are a thing. Science changes and grows and refines. It doesn't stay stagnant. Because something is refined does not mean that whatever that you're being lied to. It just fuck. Almost out of beer.
That Werner von Braun was the director of all 6 moon missions, and he's a Is that not a comic book? That's a comic book.
My fellow Nanos, I am sorry to say I am leaving you to join the elite.
Operation Paperclip.
In the United States of America.
Operation Paperclip.
Here we go. I'm gonna wait. I know where they're going with this. Because Nazi rocket scientists and Nazi scientists were brought from Germany here to the U.S. to work on the rocket program. NASA, somehow it's some big deal. It's an issue for these people. I'm going to wait. I'm going to let this play out, and then I'm going to explain why they're retarded. And before you get on my shit about saying retarded, I'm using that in the dictionary definition.
People in Germany.
Not as a slur. They are retarded.
All they want is freedom and peace.
We want to welcome you to the US of A.
We must divert their attention.
I'm going to make so much money. It's crazy. To brainwash a nation, we will need animation.
I want to bring my technology of airplane models.
I want to work with Walt. I want to see the best people.
We need to get the indoctrination started.
If people believe an airplane can go to the moon, we might be able to do it. To brainwash a nation.
I will need help.
We will need animation. Please bring in help. United States of America. Action.
Oh, jeez, who hired these guys?
Jesus Christ, these guys can't act. Bring it up into an airplane. Dark window.
You just record the Earth from a dark window.
We can do that on the computer afterwards.
Get on with it.
People will fall for it. People must know.
And the heavens declare the glory of God in his firmament.
Showeth his handiwork.
The people must know.
The people have to know.
We come from this big bang and fluffy puffy
So that was it. Now, that was all they had to say about paper. Okay, so because they just threw it out there and made a bunch of pretend voices and pretend speeches. Operation Paperclip, basically what happened, they took German rocket scientists, brought them to the U.S., let them work on the A-bomb and our rocket program. Granted, some of these people were criminals and should have faced justice for what they did. Because of the knowledge they had doesn't necessarily mean damn it, I've had too much drink. Because of the bad things that they did not mean that they didn't have the knowledge that they had. Why not use that knowledge to the benefit of the space program or the U.S. or the missile program or whatever they were working on? Why throw that knowledge away just because they did some bad things? I mean, von Braun, he worked on the V2 and was brought over. This guy knew a lot about rocketry. Why not have him work for the U.S.? Why not have him work for the U.S. rocket program? Just because he was involved with the German Nazi government at the time. The knowledge he had was irreplaceable. The world would not be where we're at right now, unless it had been for people like him. Did they do bad things? Yes. Yes, they did. But they had knowledge that we could benefit as humanity from. Why not bring them over, make them work for it? You know, it's not like they got to just run around free.
pixie fairy dust and unicorn farts, and all of a sudden consciousness just came out of that. No, it was designed. It's not an accident. Everything according to their bogus Darwinian theory of evolution, all of it points to a godless, atheist, demonic, demon-crat lie. NASA is...
What does evolution have to do with going to space? Got one in the chat. Let's see. Because there's no space program. It's a forefront funding for a three-letter agency. What would that agency be? There is a space program. I mean, for fuck's sake, dude, we have a rover and a drone on Mars that the drone just flew for the second time the other day, and the rover just turned CO2 into oxygen. We're learning things. There is a space program. What's this three-letter agency you're confused about?
is a corporation, and they are the same people who run Disney. In fact, they are very, very similar, because what they do is they entertain people. They're not teaching people. They don't want people to know.
What is it with flat earthers and Disney and NASA? Why is it always like Disney, NASA? I'm not getting it.
Know the truth about the cosmos. They're entertaining them with CGI images. Every image you see, image, not photo, every single one of them, all of those are computer-generated images.
Again, they talk about, it's all CGI. What about all the video and photos that were taken before CGI ever existed? Somebody, come on. There's the V2 rocket in the late 40s that showed the curvature of the Earth. Was that CGI? How do you CGI that before CGI was a thing?
Not photos. Everyone you see on Google is a CGI image. It is not a photo. And you can't tell that they are CGI. Either there's two things wrong with you. You are either or you are mentally deranged. You do not have control of your own mind. Your mind has been indoctrinated, it has been brainwashed, and you've been duped, and you still believe in Santa Claus and the upside down spinning Santa ball, which the...
Alright, so got a thing in the chat. Wants me to show the video. So give me 1 second. I'm going to look it up. First is a bird from space. Now, this was taken October 24th, 1946. Let's see if I can. Bear with me, sorry. I'm still working out this, still working out OBS. This image was taken in 1946. You can clearly see curvature. You can clearly see it. Now, where was the CGI? I know. Pass this retardation.
Bang and fluffy puffy pixie fairy dust and unicorn farts, and all of a sudden consciousness just came out of that. No, it was designed. It's not an accident. Everything according to their bogus Darwinian theory of evolution, all of it points to a godless, atheist, demonic, demon-crat lie. NASA is a corporation, and they are the same people who run Disney. In fact, they are very, very similar, because what they do...
Where the fuck did that come from? How? Just saying it doesn't make it true.
...is they entertain people. They're not teaching people. They don't want people to know the truth about the cosmos. They're entertaining them with CGI images. Every image you see, image, not photo, every single one of them, all of those are computer-generated images.
So he just admitted that there are actual real photos. Did you catch that? He said every image, not photo, image, not photo. So he's admitting that there are photos of Earth from space.
They are not photos. Everyone you see on Google is a CGI image. It is not a photo. And you can't tell that they are CGI. Either there's two things wrong with you. You are either or you are mentally deranged. You do not have control of your own mind. Your mind has been indoctrinated, it has been brainwashed, and you've been duped, and you still believe in Santa Claus and the upside down spinning Santa ball, which the Jesuits invented in 1542. Prior to 1542, every single culture, all our intelligent ancestors will be rolling in their graves knowing that their stupid progeny actually think they live on a spinning globe that people bow down to for their false ideology. Zoom up to Venus, zoom up to Mars, and you will see.
Okay, those videos, or that, yeah, those clips right there. I've done that with my P900, and yeah, you get images that look like that. You look at those exact same spots, Mars, which that looked a lot like what Mars looks like through a P900, so I'm going to assume it's probably Mars. You look at that through a telescope, and you see like an actual planet, like looking at the fucking moon. Use the right tool for the right job. A P900 is not meant to look at planets far off into space. You can see the moon very well, but you can't see Mars, you can't see Venus, you can't see Mercury. Use the proper tool for the proper job.
They are lights. They are stars. Hence all the intelligent pre-Copernican astrologers, Ptolemaic astrologers like myself, taught that all the planets are wandering stars. They are luminous.
A P900 versus a telescope. Buy a fucking telescope. flat earthers love to talk about doing science and things. Why not use a telescope? I've yet to see a flat earther produce any pictures like this from a telescope. Actually, I have yet to see any flat earther show a picture from a telescope.
Bodies, just as the Egyptians said, just as the Greeks and the Mayans and the Aztecs said, just as our intelligent ancestors said. If all the stars, as they say, in every constellation are all at different depths by millions of light years, how come for thousands and thousands and thousands of years of hurtling through the sky, there is no distortion, no difference in luminosity of stars? We're supposed to be flying at breakneck speeds through the galaxy, and yet the same boring stars keep turning over our flat, stationary, plain Earth forever and ever and ever and ever.
Okay, one, we've already gone over the speed, that whole speed thing, and how we're moving through the galaxy. Second, oh fuck, distance is a thing. When you, if you've ever driven in the U.S., taken long road trips, there's places like Montana where those mountains, see them, they look like they're barely moving. You look out your window, right out your window, and the grass is flying by. You look at the mountains, and they're barely moving. Those stars are so much further away than the mountains are. Of course, they're not going to change that much in distance, but they do change. That's why almanacs are a thing for sailors. When they use a sextant, they have to look, because Polaris changes where it is. Flat earthers like to say it's never changed, but historical documentation shows otherwise. So I don't know. I'm going to take the vast sum of human knowledge and documentation over some moron's fucking assertion that he just pulled out of his ass.
So we are not moving. We're supposed to be traveling at, get this number in your head, 66,600 mile an hour, 666. That's how fast the Earth is orbiting. If you are globe, that's what you are. You are stupid. Stupid beyond your wildest imagination.
Okay, I'm not even going to get into this whole numerology thing. The first time the number of the beast was brought up, it was 616, not 666. So when they try to make this, when they try to link the two together, it looks stupid. But for people who want to believe in nonsense, I guess it makes sense.
That's why we have a horizon, because it's horizontal. That's why we have sea level, because the sea is level. It's not curving. You cannot call it sea level. You will call it sea curve. That's why we have tectonic plates and not tectonic bowls, because those tectonic plates are just that, flat plates. Check out the Suez Canal, 120 miles, no curvature. It never overflows, it never drains. And to all those astrologers out there who think they are astrologers, teaching heliocentrism, like Laura Eisenhower, the granddaughter of her grandfather, the president of the US, calling herself a heliocentric astrologer, no such thing exists.
From a very young age, wondering why the heck did I land in the Eisenhower family. I was faced with the opportunity to go to Mars. Some people wonder, why the heck didn't you go to Mars? But my intuition told me, from really recalling a youth filled with a lot of insight about what I was here to do, was to not go anywhere.
That is, Laura, you are a false prophet. The line going from the AC to the DC is called the line of the Earth, and it never moves. AC to DC, ascendant to descendant, that's called the line of the Earth, according to the astrologers of ancient. And that never moves, proving that there is no movement of the Earth calculated in any astrological chart reading that you do. You never account the movement or the position of the Earth in relation to any of these planets, because it's that line
you don't use
of
the
the
planet
Earth which we call the horizon.
Speaking of horizons, some guy, he filmed a mountain. He was flying over.
This guy's, he obviously doesn't know anything about navigation, because you don't just like pick a planet, because you can't always see the planets. They navigate based off the North Star, and as mentioned earlier, the North Star Polaris has changed over time. I'm gonna need a minute. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Try to make a thing. Just gonna leave this right there for a second. And have myself muted. Sorry. Okay, my apologies. I decided to be more civilized than a sleeping warrior and not pee during a live stream. So, yeah, I had to go back. Now I'm back.
Texas, and he used his camera to film a mountain. This mountain was supposed to be hidden by 35 miles of curvature with the current circumference of the Earth that we're given. I don't, just sitting straight up, he's just right there. It's not hidden by 35 miles of curvature. It's crazy.
Okay, wait. Okay, I think we're about to hit that 8 inches per mile squared thing. That works on a very short distance. Otherwise, it turns into a parabola. And yeah, the Earth is not a parabola.
As soon as flat earthers found out about P900 cameras that are made by Nikon, where they can zoom in times 80, I think, and what's going on is like, you can see a boat disappear with your naked eye. And that used to be proof alone. That used to be proof for the curvature of the Earth. But now, you can watch the boat disappear with your naked eye. And then you could pull up this camera and you could zoom in on the boat that you just watched disappear. And you could bring it right back into full view, just perfectly visible.
Because your naked eye doesn't have that kind of magnification. You can't see that far. Now, I'm just going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that this camera is fully zoomed in. If he continues to watch that boat, it will disappear from the bottom up over that line, that dark blue. It will disappear bottom first, going towards the top. That can only happen on a globe. That is the horizon. That is the curvature of the Earth. You can also see there's a lot of distortion and refraction going on in this video, but I'm not going to get into that. Because, frankly, I'm not... don't know enough about the math and everything that's involved to really get into it, and I'd rather leave that to people who are with more expertise than.
It's crazy. There's no camera tricks, there's no illusions involved. Nothing. It's just perfectly back into view. There's flat earth proofs coming out.
The illusion involved is your eyes can't see that far.
All the time, every other day, it's just a matter of if you can find it or not, if it's going to surface in the right areas where people can share it. You know, they're trying to censor this stuff nonstop. There's just a mission to keep this stuff buried.
There's not a mission to keep it buried. There's enough people making videos that debunk this nonsense, that this nonsense gets mixed in, and more people want to know why it's wrong and have reality kind of explained to them with, I don't know, measurements and actual science than there is for a bunch of moronic nonsense. I do this because I think it's funny.
I got mad love for all the flat earthers, man. Since day one, everybody's been doing their part, putting in work, and just picking up where they're finding slack, they'll pick it up. You know what I mean? Like, there's no spot in flat earth that is not covered. They're covering their zone, their quadrants, and they're just taking care of business, man. And if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for all of us, we wouldn't be where we're at with this flat earth thing, man. They wouldn't be so scared. They wouldn't be trying to cover it up at every turn and stop it everywhere we look.
Zone and quadrants. Okay, that kind of, I don't know. It may be kind of just a weird random thought. But, so, you have aviation software, right? Now, these flight plans that people plot on the software, that software has to give them an accurate flight plan, because if not, people die. Why is the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn the same size? On a flat Earth, that's not possible, but yet on this software, it is. I mean, do pilots just guess? Is it all just guesswork? Or, again, is every pilot on the planet in on this vast conspiracy to say the Earth is round because
Each and every single flat earther out there has played their part.
I've had way too much.
And we wouldn't be where we're at if it wasn't for you.
Way too quick, way too early.
We wouldn't be heavily censored. They wouldn't be scared to debate us.
You're not being censored. It's just people are more interested in knowing reality than your fucking nonsense fairy tale. That's all. Not being censored. It's just you're a joke. And I'm up for debates. There's plenty of debates that happen. It's just no flat earthers can ever bring actual evidence to the table other than nuh-uh and I think, or well, it doesn't look right. That's all you got. Or a misunderstanding of something.
Wouldn't be trying to censor us at every turn if it wasn't for you guys and you wonderful women exposing flat earth with all your might, all your power, all the glory to God. What a wonderful world we live on. So beautiful. There's pilots coming out all the time too, and they're attesting to the fact that you can't find any curvature.
Ask any. Really? Where are all these pilots? I mean, I know Wolfie trolled a flat earther. That was pretty damn funny. But yeah, I mean, even Bob Nodell, when Wolfie started talking to him about talking shop to him and getting into the nitty gritty about being a pilot, Bob Nodell ran away because he's a fucking fraud as well.
Any airline pilot what the shape of the Earth is. When they're done laughing at you, they'll tell you it's a sphere.
That's not, and that, yeah, no, the ground looks to us like it's standing still.
Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
What was the question asked to her? Why'd they cut that out? Trying to hide something? Seems like it to me. Why not put that in the video?
No? What'd you see while we were up there?
Just the blue sky, white clouds.
Yeah, is it flat or?
Pretty flat.
Pretty flat?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I was reading.
The Earth is big. Airplanes are small. Our view is still small. The Earth is big. So yeah, it's going to look flat. That doesn't mean it is flat. I mean, you can put a camera on a basketball. I've seen the meme a million times. Basketballs are flat. Put a camera close enough to get a good enough shot of the surface of a basketball. It looks pretty goddamn flat. Earth is a lot fucking bigger.
A lot of stuff on the flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
That's true?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right.
God bless, brother.
Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
Curvature? No.
No? There's no curvature?
It's just all flat.
Casey, how are you, mate? Pleased to meet you guys. There's no way there's curvature. We're round and flat, aren't we?
Definitely.
We are, aren't we? Thank you.
Most pilots know their plane is flying over a plane. A stationary plane. Always a smooth and level flight. We never feel the plane dipping its nose down. We only...
Even the biggest commercial planes are only a couple 100 feet long. The Earth, God damn it, the Earth is so much bigger. Why? Size, people. Size. It doesn't. Like, flat earthers have no sense of scale. It just it's something that just does not register in their minds. I fucking swear.
Feel the landing. Which flight route matches reality in your mind? If you chose the left, you may need medical attention. Everything beneath you while flying is level and motionless. Just as expected, flying over a stationary plane. Sometimes it's hard to see far ahead of you, but other times...
You could probably see the Rockies from Kansas.
Wow.
But it's a clear day, but...
Yeah, because at the elevation you're at, you can see past the curve that somebody at ground level would see. I'm 6'3". Me looking out, I'm going to see a horizon at a certain point. You take me 500 feet higher, I'm going to see that horizon further out because I can see further past the curve, but there's still going to be a point in that curve that I can't see.
If it's smoky or hazy, obviously we can't see much.
The world is so generous in its beauty, and you do your best to take pictures of it. It's just flat and gorgeous.
Silly actor not, you took the words right out of my mouth. Earth is flat and gorgeous, but they trick you to believe something else. Not every pilot instantly connects the dots and keeps quiet. Sometimes it can hit them 25 years later.
Australië. En dan is, want dit ding behoudt zijn stand, dus dit blijft blauw en dit blijft bruin. Het is niet zo dat we opeens omklappen de verkeerde kant op. En dit was voor mij dat ik dacht, oh man. Waar heb ik het nooit eerder gezien na 25 jaar in de cockpit? Dus zo geïndoctrineerd zijn we dus allemaal. Ja, het is toch, het is gewoon heel vervelend. Het is gewoon heel vervelend. Dat je daar al die jaren naar hebt gekeken en dat het kwartje nooit is gevallen. En ook zeg maar, toen ik eenmaal wist dat de aarde plat is, dat je naar buiten kijkt en dat je denkt, waar heb ik nooit gezien hoe plat het eigenlijk is.
Better late than never. Most pilots may have skipped over their training manuals. In their Flight Dynamics Summary, Section 112 explains all you'll need to know about what you're flying over. Heck, the military knows the same thing.
Oh, okay, so pilot is in on this conspiracy because reasons. When your plane is only a couple 100 feet long, of course you're going to treat it like it's flat because the Earth is fucking big. Plane 200 feet long, Earth 24,000 miles in circumference.
NASA admits it as well. In tons of documents available to the public.
Okay, fuck. They had so much stupid that had way too much to drink already to try to catch a read in all this, and we already saw what happened when they tried to mess with going back and editing the video. It doesn't work. Things all up. But, we got this pulled up, so... Yeah, okay, right here. It says maybe assumed. But, I mean, you can assume anything. I mean, when I go out to the grocery store, I can assume the Earth is flat and not rotating. That doesn't mean that's not the case. It just means for where I'm at and where I'm going, I don't need to account for any of that. I just the cherry picking is astounding to me. because I guarantee you. Oh, and he's using NASA. So NASA also says that the Earth is a globe. But he's going to take one thing out of there that says we shouldn't assume it for this particular application. You can't try to discredit something and then use it as a source. That just doesn't, that's one, incredibly dishonest, and two, it's just comical.
They just assumed nobody would pay attention.
This comes from the Army Research Laboratory. This one's from the CIA. There's another one from NASA. This report documents the definitions of linear aircraft model for the rigid aircraft of consistent mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. This comes right from our own government. Now, I have available 44 documents.
Is this that Donnie guy? Is this that idiot that was trying to run for government office in, shit. It's like Waterton, New York, or Pennsylvania, or some shit like that, that just rage quits all the time every time that he gets on a debate and is called to task for the nonsense that he says. Oh, I gotta see where this goes. This guy's a fucking nutball.
Who do I give them to, sir?
You give those to the city clerk, please.
Which is this person here.
Here.
So what I want is a law that's passed that we can't teach anything about the globe, and we have to teach the truth of how things are.
From the documents to the imagery, they are not flying around a curve heading to outer space. They are flying over a stationary, flat plane. Stop falling for the illusions.
When you have a 200-foot long airplane and you're only going 1,000 miles, you don't need to account for Earth curvature. I mean, my flights from the U.S. to here in the Philippines, they plot the Great Circle. On a flat Earth, the flight path would not work. It would be about 50% longer.
Every rocket goes up and then levels out. Most of NASA's rockets launch from Florida and head towards the Bermuda Triangle. Well, besides the occasional... They're not...
They launch... You don't launch straight up if you want to get into orbit. You have to launch at an angle because the rotation of the Earth and the way it moves the atmosphere and everything will essentially push the rocket up to the desired area you want it to be. They also launch over water, so if something does explode, it's not going to land in fucking Miami. I mean, enough rockets and shuttles have exploded throughout the last 60 years that, I don't know, maybe, since it is a dangerous thing, we don't want to launch those things over land or populated areas. Launch them out to sea. If they explode, the debris falls into the ocean and nobody, hopefully, is killed. Hopefully it's an unmanned rocket that blows up, falls into the sea. Nobody's hurt by that. You launch it somewhere from, say, Kansas City, and it blows up. You have that debris falling into people's houses or landing on a city and killing people. There's reasons for this. Not to mention, the closer to the equator, better for gaining orbit, all that stuff. I mean, there's a reason these people have the knowledge flat earthers, their knowledge base is what kind of glue tastes better.
Not shy about showing the truth in plain sight. 125 alleged miles up, and they show you our level horizon with a local sun. Then quickly switch cameras to their fisheye lens, as if that didn't just happen. You have to pick one. You can't have both.
Why stay on one camera that's not showing much of anything? I mean, why not switch to a camera where you can look back and go, oh look, there's the Earth. That looks cool. Or I can look out into blackness with sun. I mean, yeah. High Plains Drifter nailed it. Where's a working model of a flat Earth? Have plenty of time. Shit, not even that. Where's a working map? Not even a model, just a fucking map.
Looks as if their cameras go about as high as most hot air balloons do before they burst. Who do they think they're fooling? But let me guess. You saw the curvature in the images from satellites. The thousands of magical orbiting aluminum tin cans floating in space. It's all animation and games until one comes crashing down on your squad. Many crashed satellites have been reported the world over, and the one thing they all have in common is giant helium balloons attached to them. Of course, satellite technology is real. We get our weather information, communication equipment, and even some internet service from them. Look up Google Loon, for example. It's not that they wouldn't use the magical floating satellites if they could, it's that they don't physically exist, nor does the globe. They have been sending these up one at a time since it all began. I will allow them to explain it.
And he got a patent on that in 1950. And those early balloons were so large, they didn't have any way to launch them, except they actually launched them from aircraft carriers.
Modern scientific ballooning was born. It was also the genesis for NASA's newly developed super pressure balloon.
The reason for super pressure ballooning is they have absolutely stable altitude, day, night, and it doesn't matter how cold the atmosphere is. They are sealed.
So your shape is always the same, you always displace the same amount of air, and therefore you have the same amount of buoyancy all the time.
This day-to-night altitude stability allows super pressure balloons and the sun.
Hi, I'm Matt, and this is NASA Now.
NASA's been using balloons for science research for over 30 years. The exploration that can be done on balloons is continuing to grow. The standard balloon that I fly is about 660 feet long when it's made. So when it's inflated, it's over 400 feet tall by 440 feet wide. Think of a dome stadium. That's how big my balloons are.
So let me get this straight. It is now public knowledge that they send up satellites on massive helium-filled balloons. As you should know...
No. They don't send satellites up on balloons. They send measuring equipment. I mean, there's weather balloons. You can use a balloon to measure other things with a satellite. And not to mention, you can see satellites. You go to somewhere dark enough at night, lay down and look up, you will see them fly by, and they go way too fucking fast to be in atmosphere. If they were in the Earth's atmosphere, they'd rip apart and burn the fuck up. Just like the ISS.
NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the world, for obvious reasons. But the issue with society is that they never critically think. Just think for a second here. If these are sent up to provide the world with all of the important information we need, and I'm sure the entire process is expensive and difficult to accomplish, then please explain to me what in the flat world do these pathetic animations do for you? Do they make you happy inside? Are they so super duper cool that you cannot see past the obvious CGI? The fact of the matter is everything NASA sends up on a balloon simply hovers above our motionless Earth. That is why they rarely speak about orbiting satellites, and of course, they never show footage.
They talk about satellites all the time, and not every satellite has a fucking camera on it.
Here is some footage of a random evening with a man, the moon, and his Nikon P900.
Oh. Perfect. You can see the curvature in the fucking moon. And that the moon is not a ball of plasma like was originally earlier asserted. And look, there's craters, there's shadows. How is that possible if the moon is giving off its own quote-unquote cold light, which is another thing that doesn't fucking exist? You're ruining your own arguments in this.
Notice anything floating up there?
Forget it, Bart. It's so bright out you can't see anything in the sky except the Fox satellite.
Another remarkable fact about NASA's balloon launches is that many are launched from Antarctica. Is it because we cannot travel past certain parallels to witness their launches with our own eyes?
Don't get into the Antarctica Treaty, because I've actually read it. At no point in the Antarctica Treaty does it say you can't go there. The Antarctica Treaty basically just says that no country is allowed to use Antarctica as a military installation, and then it sets up a bunch of protocol for how to other countries to inspect, to make sure that no other country is using it as a military installation. It basically says Antarctica cannot be militarized. It doesn't say anything about people not being allowed to go there. Eric Dubé, you should know this. You're fucking lying.
What else are they hiding from us over there? It would be nice if someone was allowed to truly explore Antarctica again. It sure has been a while since the last guy.
Greetings to you, my young friend. Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd. I must say that
Oh, this fucking quack. Oh, this'll be good.
Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. Strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored. But more important than that, it has to do with the future of the nation.
Just Antarctica side note popped in my head. Why is there a race? It's a sailboat race every year that goes around Antarctica. When they race, they basically keep Antarctica on their left side. It stays there the entire time. And they go in a small circle. They don't go around like this. This thing is circumnavigated every year. Totally blows apart the whole ice wall, Antarctica bullshit. Knock it off. Stop lying.
Come after us, or even during your lifetime, because it happens to be an untouched reservoir of natural resources. An area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
Since late 2014, one of the biggest things I've heard, the Earth is flat. Why don't you find the edge and fall off? Why don't you make up an expedition and gather people and go find the edge and take a picture of the edge? Well, my response is, can you fall off the edge of a lake, a pond, an ocean? Let's see if you have any imagination left in that brain of yours. And pretend this is all the water in the world. This is the 71% covered earth-filled pond. All the water of the world. So let's just say this is trillions upon trillions upon trillions of gallons. You've got the continents, the islands in the middle. In the center where all compasses point You can circumnavigate, circle the lake or the pond left or right. But as you venture outwards towards the banks, towards outer space, what happens? Once you pass that 60th degree parallel and you hit the ice wall, the ice cliff of Antarctica, what happens? Do you fall off the edge? Is there an edge here? Because we know the physics of water is defined and maintained level if you've been paying attention. And also, water must be contained. It is contained.
Okay, I missed who this hillbilly was because I was typing in the chat. But water is contained. It's contained by gravity and the land around it. So, not sure what he's getting at, but do you like the video or footage of the glacier that they showed to try to pretend that that's an ice wall? That's been debunked 1,000 times.
We climb up the banks and we keep going outward, southward.
That's an ice shelf. That is not Antarctica. That actually broke off of Antarctica.
What happens to their control when millions of people travel
beyond the 60th parallel?
They knew this was
They get attacked by laser penguins.
Gonna get out. They knew people were gonna wake up. What if Star Wars is true? What if this extraterrestrial, these extra terrains, they're telling us the truth, minus the vacuum of space, because they got to put a Hollywood spin on it, don't they? Star Wars, Star Trek. What if you Globers can have your Star Wars and your Star Trek at the same time?
Well, I mean, Trump's got his Space Force.
Isn't that awesome? How's that make you feel?
The timeline goes as follows. So in 1955, Operation Deep Freeze starts. And when Admiral Richard Byrd gets back, he comes on live television and tells us he found more land, the size of North America. They quickly start NASA. President Eisenhower calls over the Nazi traitors in Operation Paperclip to start the upper space mind control program. Don't look out there, look up here. Look, everybody, we're going to the moon.
Because nobody thought we were on a globe before NASA. Oh no, it's all NASA. It's all NASA. They didn't know this for, what, 2,500 years before?
Then, in 1959, 12 nations started the Antarctic Treaty, followed by 42 more nations where they have decided you or I cannot travel or explore any part of Antarctica south or past the 60th parallel without military clearance, without the aid of a guided tour.
You can't go there by yourself because they don't want people to just go there and fucking wander off into some of the harshest territory or harshest environment on the planet and fucking die. It's the same reason that planes, when they fly over Antarctica, it has to be a 4-engine aircraft. They don't want people to die there. But you can go there. There's jobs that you can actually get and go work in Antarctica. You can go work at McMurdo Station. You can go work at the South Pole. I know having a job is a foreign concept to flat earthers, but you can do that. I mean, toilets do need to be scrubbed. I'm sure the qualifications aren't that high.
Do you really think that this is just a coincidence?
More. Imagine they find more land. Imagine there is more land out there. More to explore, more to reside, more resources. You think they tell you and I about it?
Well, I mean, there's space. There's a lot more to be discovered, learned, and possibly mined from space. So why wouldn't they tell you about something if the Earth was flat? Let's pretend that there wasn't something out there. People want to explore. People want to see those things. So why keep that a secret? Why not go explore that?
I'm sure a lot of you have heard about my $200,000 globe challenge. And up to this point, No one has been successful at completing the challenge. We've had a few clowns here and there.
I don't even know who this idiot is, but I'd like to take him up on the challenge. Sober.
That have stepped up to the plate. Here we go. And claimed victory. But at the end of the day, you can't make water stick to the bottom of a ball, much less spinning. Okay? You can't show where sea level turns to sea curve. There's no curvature on the x-axis or y-axis.
That stuff is flat.
Here's a fair challenge here for Neil deGrasse Tyson. Why don't you get off your fat, lazy butt and out from behind your screens and your scripts?
Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning, and it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles.
So Earth got a little bit wider at its equator than it did pole to pole.
So you spin, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out.
Like spinning pizza dough.
Yeah.
It just gets flat.
If you were a cosmic giant and you came up to Earth and you rubbed your finger over Earth's surface, it would feel as smooth as a cue ball to you.
Wow. If you shrunk Earth down to the size of a cue ball, yeah,
it would be one of the smoothest, roundest cue balls ever made. That's how round Earth is. So it's not actually a sphere, it's oblate. It's like pear-shaped.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, we got the piss drinker again. And I'm not just disparaging this guy, but he actually does drink his own pee. The Earth it's been measured, but it's about 300 miles wider at the equator. I mean, so yeah, these people flat earthers like to take things to the most literal extreme. They have no sense of metaphor. It's kind of pear-shaped, but not really it doesn't actually look like a fucking pear. It's just wider around the equator than it is. I've had too much.
It's funny. 6 years ago, I sent a whole bunch of questions for you to answer, and I noticed you haven't answered them.
Is one of them, what does your pee taste like?
You're not a scientist. You're an actor with a couple of science degrees. There's people with.
Doesn't the degree make you a scientist?
Those same qualifications flipping burgers in Burger King.
It's like pear.
So you don't impress me.
Neil Disgrace Tyson, you are a lying Jesuit thug and a deceiver. You are a degenerate from. Good luck to all your lying when you're down in doing favors for. And remember my name when you're in there, Santos Bonacci.
Hey Neil,
you know what? I'll probably forget that guy's name in the next 10 minutes.
Talk about pears so much. Why don't you try eating a few, you fat
Pears are delicious, and I will admit, I wish that was one of the things I could get here, but you can't get pears in Philippines. Or at least, I haven't found them yet.
That's actually good.
Hey Neil, if the level and motionless plane is so easily debunked, so easily refuted, then why don't you just debate Eric Dubay?
Why don't you get off your fat, lazy butt, out from behind your screens and your scripts?
Why doesn't Eric Dubay debate anybody? I don't know, McToon's thrown it out there a few times, and Eric Dubay never responded. Hell, my drunk ass would even debate him. Maybe not 3 liters of San Miguel in, but I tried to be sober. But yeah, I need to do it. Fuck, I'm nobody.
And debate Eric Dubay. You've heard the name Eric Dubay, but you're scared. You're chicken.
Eric Dubay, the guy that put out his 200 proofs, which are more like maybe 100, because they kind of repeat themselves. He just changes the wording, and flat earthers don't notice that.
You won't debate Eric Dubay because you don't have a script and lines and people telling you what to say. You know you'll get demolished. Why don't you just come on a podcast or any type of show, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe an hour, if you've got the and debate Eric Dubay.
The Earth isn't flat.
See how much of a man you are there, Mr. Mic Drop.
Looks like we're gonna have Eric Dubay, he said he's agreed to do it, talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
What?
Yes. I had asked you to debate one of them flat earth guys.
No, I don't, I can't, no.
I know. We talked about it and we were gonna have him on Skype.
No, what we do is, and I think this is a diabolical plot, so that the next time we can ship people en masse into orbit, they all want to be the first in line because they know we're going to send them, so that they can see the round Earth. They're going to be the first ones in space, just so they can stop annoying the rest of us.
Okay, so I think the problem with that, I would love to see flat earthers get sent into space and actually see the Earth. But the problem with that is, as soon as you get one that would go up there, he'd either come up with some excuse as to I was drugged or some bullshit, or all of the other flat earthers would say he had been bought out. He's now a shill. There's no winning with these people, and I don't want to say winning because it's not a contest, but they're so in their own bubble where even if they saw that the Earth was a globe, they would come up with some reason as to why they were deceived by them. And then all of the other, their ilk, all the other flat earthers, if that person did come out and say, you know what, I was sent into space, I saw the Earth was a globe, I was wrong, they would all turn on them and attack them for saying, and say something along the lines that they've been bought out, or now they're a shill, or something. I mean, just look at what's happening with Randy right now. I props to the guy. Fucking way to go, dude. Like, you looked at the evidence, you changed your position. Good on you. But I feel bad because I know he's being attacked by flat earthers. I haven't checked into videos or anything quite yet because I've had stuff going on. I have a family now. But I guarantee you that's happening.
I don't think you're correct.
And I know that you're not correct. Why the backpedaling, Neil? You already agreed to debate me on Joe Rogan's podcast. The show was scheduled, posted on Joe's site, announced on air twice, and then you suddenly decided that you, quote, don't debate flat earthers. What happened?
Why would he bother? The guy's a science communicator, yes, but why would he bother giving you a platform, like an actual platform? He can do more just educating people and ruin you than actually making you look like a dumb shit to your face.
I'll tell you what happened. Someone at NASA told Neil, we're not going to let you go head-to-head with Eric Dubay because he'll make you look foolish.
And how would they stop him? These NASA, Illuminati, Freemasons, how would they stop him? He's a dude. And he's such a high-profile person. If something happened to him, everybody would know about it. If the guy got in a car accident, people would know about it. So it's not like they could make him just disappear one day.
Prove me wrong.
You just did, you dumbass, by dropping the fucking mic. You just proved gravity. Go fuck yourself, fraud.
ODD-TV, I'm coming with the disruption. With all my
Okay. I'm assuming. I'm not going to watch the next 3 minutes. I'm assuming it's probably just credits. But, I've got to say, holy fuck. I'm glad I didn't buy another drink. Like, probably wouldn't have. I probably would have had more. Yeah, that was. Yeah, that was just the. It was basically nothing but every tired ass debunked argument flat earthers had made. Yeah, they left out a few, but yeah, I mean, this stuff has been debunked over and over and over again with actual measurements. And I'm just sitting here. I have nothing pulled up. This is just off the top of my head as I see it. These people have been debunked over and over and over again. I mean, they can't even get the curvature of the Earth formula right. I mean, they keep grabbing this 8 inches per mile squared. That doesn't work. It works for a very small distance, yes. But to actually calculate the curvature of the Earth, no. You start doing that, you look at a parabola. It just, yeah, I really don't have much more to say on this. I really, those of you who have popped into the chat, even though, you know, some of you have been flat earthers and kind of taking pot shots at me that I kind of missed. Thanks for watching, I guess. I mean, hey, I welcome all criticism. I've never been afraid of it, and if I can engage, I will. Yeah, so other than that, I really don't have much more going on. I'm not going to sit here and watch the credits and listen to ODD TV odd ramble off a bunch of crap that, frankly, I'm not much of a rap guy, so not my thing. But I would like to thank you all for watching. Hopefully, I'll be able to start putting out some more videos. Hopefully, I'll get my room set up pretty soon. Actually, be able to start getting back into this. So, on that note, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. I know this last year has been really shitty on everybody, but just hold tight.